All right. All right, this is a front idler for the track loader. It goes right here and has a few functions. I mean, number one is to keep the track on. Number two is to keep the track tight. When you apply grease to your track, it pushes this front idler forward. And this thing needs to move freely nicely, and there shouldn't be any wiggle here on the housing to the wheel. And that's what's going on right now. You could hear kind of like a metal on metal squeaking thing going on, and that's the bearing inside of this assembly. Once those bearings go, this, while you're driving, it tends to stop or jump around a little bit and get caught. And when that happens, the sprocket's still pushing the track, so the track continues, but this is at a stop and the track will continually fall off. And it usually happens when you're in a hole or somewhere deep in the woods or in a weird grade, something like that. So we still have a lot of work to do with this machine for the house build, and I need to address this situation now to make it a bit easier to use this thing. So let's get into it. We got to get this track off. Also, just real quick, if you have a machine like mine or some other kind of front idler machine, there's a little plug right here. Now this should be filled already. Looks like they have some Teflon in there. But anyway, there's a plug right there, a hex plug, and there's gear oil inside of here. So that's one thing to look out for. It's pretty maintenance free, but you might want to once in a while just pop it and make sure it's got all that gear oil in there. Pop it open, yeah, this way up, and then turn it downwards. Check your oil once in a while. If you're watching this video because you have a Takeuchi track loader, this is a 13. There should be two of them, but this machine I bought that, and it's seen better days. There's only one. Alright, so that opens up, and then you have this socket looking thing that has a grease fitting at the end of it. Loosen that up, it'll let the grease out. That's a 19, by the way, 19 millimeter. See the track coming down. Quick little trick, you could stand on the track to put some tension on it. More grease will come out. Alright, now we're going to get the machine off the ground so the track can come off. That's new, huh? Usually trying to get it on. Usually trying to get these things on, not off. Maybe you could just drive forward, that'd be easier. Meg left though. Hey Maddie, can you drive this thing forward? No, okay. Alright, front's off. Alright, there's our friend. Oh. In case anyone wants to see what's on the other side of that, let me take the camera in there. There you go. When you put the grease in, it fills in that chamber and it pressurizes and it pushes this whole assembly forward, tensioning the track. Okay, and then you get your bottom rollers here, which are just They're right on there on the axle. Good time to inspect these two. I'm gonna figure out what the torque is on these. Oh, goodness. Alright, look here. I know it's hard with a camera lens, but this, like to exaggerate, let me get a straight edge, I'll show you better. Stay. Actually, I'll get a square. Be right back. That one's not horrible, but that one, can you see the gap there? All that metal has been, look at how much that thing can move. It can teeter side to side, and it's not only on that side, it's on this side too. I have a lot of metal missing there. Yep, see it? It's just worn off. Not only that, guys, but this thing is squealing. Go look up the specs. Alright guys, we're looking, I got the new one installed here, okay? And I've learned a lot on these, about these machines in the short amount of time I've had it. And this is something, if you're shopping for one to look for, these are the more important things to look for. See this right here? Let me point it out. Here, I use my ruler. Right there. At the tip there. Can you see that? So this is the new idler, the front idler. And now this metal, you know, it's an older machine, but you can see how it's worn down over the years. So now there's this, I mean, I've corrected the issue on this part, but this is, I mean, part of the frame. You can't really do anything except for like heavy duty fabrication. But anyway, the metal has been worn down at an angle. Like, we don't have perfect contact across these two faces here. We got about 1/8 of an inch of gap here, and it's touching over here. Hopefully that makes sense, but you know, everybody, when they're buying these machines, they tend to look for like the non-important things, like, oh, let's look at the condition of the tracks. It's like you could easily buy tracks and throw them on there. You know, but these things, these are major arteries of this thing, where you're going to be in a world of hurt if you have a problem on the frame like that. So just something to add to your list when you're shopping for one. Now see the top there? That looks good because we have contact from like left to right here. On the bottom, not so much. Like, to exaggerate it, it's where is it? It's like this whole wedge is chopped off, and it allows some sloppiness. But I've reduced the problem to half the problem by replacing this whole thing. Yeah. So I'm glad I didn't just replace the bearing. I replaced this because this steel on the other housing was really worn off. All right, let's all right, what's next? I think I gotta put that track back on. So I went with the diameter of the bolt itself to find the torque specs, but I'm gonna confirm it with the operator's manual. But anyway, at least I know they're pretty much all the way there. I got 84 foot-pounds here. How's that? This is always a fun job. You don't have to get all this out. Just, I mean, because next time it comes off, you're just going to have to do this again. But it's grease. I mean, just leave some in there. It won't rust. Prevent everything from rusting in there. Oh, that's yummy. So this is in a very tight location. This grease fitting, which goes to the grease cylinder, has a piston in there, and then it pushes on a rod which applies tension to that idler there that sits in the yoke. On the other side, which I'm about to do, this has shifted back, and it's like you barely have any clearance to loosen this thing as it is, and I've been hoping that other track doesn't come off for like a few months now, and it hasn't. So that's what we're going to get into now. I got to figure out why this thing shifted backwards. I've gotten pretty good at pumping this by hand. Watch how fast I can do this. I just let the grease out on the other side like before, but I was having an issue. I wish I recorded it. This grease fitting here, which adds grease to the grease cylinder, it was kind of like tightened and pushed up a little bit, and I couldn't get my socket in there. So what I had to do, I had to clean it out a little bit and just pry ever so slightly right here, and it twisted the entire cylinder just facing it downward. I don't know why it was like that, but that's how I came about to fix it. It was the only thing. Just like the whole cylinder went, you know, a few degrees. So I don't know. We'll investigate it here once we get this track off and the yoke out of the way. All right. Hopefully this sprocket and rear idler can just stay put for a few minutes. Man, I've destroyed these tracks already with all the rocky work I've been doing. We got the same sort of rubbing going on this side too. I'm gonna leave it right there. Yeah, it's just the machine showing its age. I want to take the whole thing out and just inspect the spring real quick while I have this thing apart. Okay. I don't know if I could get the piston out. Or it's the grease cylinder. Let's try. Let's get in here. Oh yeah. Let's I'm going to try to get that whole damn thing out. Let's get the entire assembly out and I'll show you the components. Because this is just the frame. We got a whole bunch of track tensioning stuff that I just took out. Let's try to take out the rest. I think I can do it. So much grease, goodness. Alright, there's the cylinder. And would you look at that, there's a bunch of crud at the bottom preventing it to sit in the right spot. So that could have something to do with what's going on too. Alright. So this sits against the back of the... Here, let me lay everything down, I'll show you what it is. I think I'm about to get really personal with this thing. Alright. I already cleaned off the bottom plate here. This had a huge chunk of clay, which was making it sit not flush. Now it shouldn't give me a problem. It should sit nice. Alright guys, instead of this just being a video of how to unbolt the front idler here and put a new one on, I mean, it's easier to do that than change a tire on your car, in my opinion. I mean, that's not very interesting. I thought I would take out this entire track adjuster or track tensioning system and explain it to you. I've learned about it, so I thought I'd share some thoughts. Okay, starting on this side. So now this is, it really sits natively like this. If we took the whole thing like this, the front of the machine is that way. So this here is our grease cylinder, our grease fitting, and our piston inside. This gets linked up, there's a hole in the back of the frame, and it all starts here. It just slides into that hole and keeps it in place. There's a plate on the bottom here, and this plate is surrounded by two parallel rails that keep it from kind of wiggling around while the machine is moving. But it sits like that, and if you can imagine, two rails are like this. I got to go clean that out next, and I'll show you that. So this sits against the frame in the back, and then you add grease through this grease fitting, and the grease cylinder creates pressure and pushes that piston here, which doesn't compress this spring. This spring has a different purpose. What it does, it pushes this whole assembly forward, adding tension to the tracks. So the piston has a hole and it just fits right into there, and then that just pushes that. The reason you have these springs is just a little bit of suspension. If there's a blunt force that you encounter while driving or you run into something with the tracks, this will compress and give, so it's not like that blunt force against all of these metal components. So it saves the overall frame of the machine. There is a rod here that runs along the inside of this frame, and it's connected to this big Y-shaped yoke, and that yoke is designed just to sit in the inside frame of the machine. And then you have your front idler assembly, which includes a bearing and an axle and all that stuff, but it's just held on there by 4 bolts, 2 on this side and 2 on the other side. They're symmetrical too, so either side works if you're replacing yours. So next step, let's go where this thing sits and make sure it's removed all the clay and dirt and stuff that is caked on there over the hours I've put on this machine. So let's go do that. Well, that works pretty good, John. Oh yeah, super crusty stuff back there. Holding this with my hands, so sorry if it's shaky. But there's a rail right here and one on the other side over here, and they go all the way down. If you see that little window over there, that's the grease fitting or the grease axis window. So that's what it looks like from over here. And just another thought. So look at this, guys. It's this is like welded right onto the frame. And it's obviously a wear area here too, down on the bottom. See, it was nice and straight, and then it kind of like dips down, and it's like a little irregular. You could see with the dirt trail I made with my finger. My thoughts on this is that it'd be a better machine if they made these things as wear and tear, like replaceable components, instead of just like, hey, this is the frame when it wears out. What do you do, right? That's a serious weld. That's major surgery when you have to replace that. And chances are it's not going to be perpendicular when you do this repair. So just some thinking on these machines. Something else to check when you're buying a used one. Yeah, this hardened steel has definitely worn down. What do you guys think? Do you think it would help if I added some grease in the rub areas here and here, or would that just be a dirt trap? Let me know what you think. That is really clean in there. I vacuumed it, scraped it, and blew it out with the compressed air. So this should slide in there nicely. I mean, there is a little play. Well, that looks a lot better. Holy cow. I've never seen it with that much room. Geez, you could easily get this in there now. Okay. Things are going to line up a lot better. Also found the missing bolt here. I'm going to order these 13 millimeters, but this will work for the time being. Light. Holy smokes. That's tightening, John. Let's do it the other way. Okay. This thing looks like strawberry puree, man. I don't know if I like this grease. It's a high temperature, high pressure. Easy as that, guys. Alright, let's torque them down. Alright, let's lower the machine. Climb up here. Jeez. guys, this is the track that I bought when I first bought the machine. I got a set of new tracks and I put it on there, and these have failed prematurely, I think. Probably because I'm rough on everything, but also just the teeth have popped out. This is a tooth, one of many, 80 something in this set of tracks, but that's why they're so heavy. They're full of these teeth. They popped out. So, and two side by side, and two over there side by side. So this track has become unusable. I'm not impressed with this set of tracks. They have crumbled and the rubber just doesn't seem very strong. They've torn, they've formed bubbles around where they shouldn't. So anyway, I wanted to share the brand. It's called Arisun, A-R-I-S-U-N. I don't know too much about name brands as far as tracks go. If somebody could recommend some to me, I guess I'm in the market. I put the old ones on the machine again, and these are just a much better track. They're probably the stock tracks that came with the machine. But yeah, I could just tell they're built better, and they just, you know, if they had more tread, they'd be perfect. Anyway, let's go test out the machine with the changes and try to pick up some heavy stuff, because I was having a problem with carrying something heavy and proceeding forward and turning. So let's see if we're still popping on the sprockets when we're giving it some weight. All right, that's heavy enough. That's a good test.
All right, start going.
Okay guys, that seems to be a success. I just took a very large rock, or boulder for that matter, and drove it downhill to put front weight on the front idlers and make a turn, and that's even more strenuous for the machine, and it handled it fine. I do want to come back and inspect these bottom rollers and add some gear oil to them, or just check the status on them, because I do hear a little bit of squeaking still, but I think that's coming from these here. I don't think they're bad. I think they just need a little bit of maintenance. So yeah, this was a success. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you on the next one, guys. All right, Maddie. Maddie, seeing what I'm gonna do. Come here, Maddie. Maddie, come here. Don't forget to walk under the machine, okay? Okay, just like that. Perfect. How's it going, honey? Carmen, you need to get out, honey. Can you move, Carmen? Carmen. Honey, you gotta move. Move. Get out. Okay, come here. Oh. Go. So guys, I made this super complicated tool to just grab all the dirt that's in here, or the clay buildup, and just pull it out. Works pretty good. If you want me to make you one, it'd be about $75. So let me know. Make a good back scratcher too. Oh yeah. Okay.